What it is, y'all, it is your old boy Pilk, and I'm back once again with the spoiler review of Danmachi OVA 3. Is it wrong to try to find a hot spring in Orario? And once again, guys, if you didn't watch the non-spoiler review, I did absolutely adore this, and I am going to gush quite a bit. So let's just go ahead and get into it. Make sure you guys hit that old thumbs up button if you haven't already. And if you haven't subscribed, make sure you do, because we're going to get into a lot more of this just franchise in general coming up really, really, really soon. So let's jump into the spoiler review. So realistically, I think it's fair to say that they kind of spoiled the ending a little bit there at the very beginning when they show Amid and she's, undressing and getting into the for lack of a better point, Yeon-Kek's cauldron. That's literally what it's called. And there actually is a lot of lore going back to that in the Irish mythology. There was a boiling river that blah, 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 blah. Very similar aspects to that. Don't need to get too deep into that, but I think if there's one problem I had with the episode is that they did kind of spoil the ending. It was extremely predictable in that regard. So that said, the way this episode opens up, they show a lot of the females of the series at this brand new hot spring that's kind of popped up in town, and basically they're very much setting this up to be like the new cool spot to be in town. Obviously, they did shoehorn in a lot of fan-favorite characters, and there was a lot of fan service here and there. In fact, there's a couple moments where you have characters that, especially Hestia and Arahime, where Hestia is very conveniently censored. Obviously, she's got very little shame. Very, very little shame. I did quite enjoy that. And then, of course, they introduce Belle and Welfare into the fray. And they kind of have this little interaction, I guess you could call it, with Ganesha, who will come into play later. That should not be a spoiler if you've watched this. That is easily the best part of the episode, but we'll get to that here shortly. So as Belle and Welfare leaving the hot spring, obviously Belle is literally abducted by Naza and Daphne, and it's really funny. Like, this is the part I was kind of talking about earlier where I felt like Belle was just kind of shoehorned in. Like, I get they needed someone, and I get they're kind of friendly with that familia, but really, like, anybody would do. It's just, and I get they kind of cover that. Like, there's a reason he's indiscriminately just thrown into all these situations. I understand that from the realm of like knowing the light novels and knowing the overall lore of the franchise, but it did feel a little shoehorned in. Let's just be honest here. It was kind of, I don't want to say gratuitous, but it was a little gratuitous. But Naza talks about how they've been planning to build a hot spring in town, and they've been, planning all this stuff out. And then here comes Yeon-Kek, who's like, claims it's a natural hot spring. But, little problem with this theory there, it's placed right above level 1 of the dungeon, and there's no water source. So obviously they concoct this plan to infiltrate, basically infiltrate the establishment and then break into the fourth floor, and just like the boiler room, as they call it, which once again should be a dead giveaway as to what's going on, but neither here nor there, to try to determine what's actually happening and, basically like, blow his plans all to smithereens, which, once again, spoiler alert, that 100% happens. So, in the middle of this, what are the stupid, like, once again, shoehorning Hermes in, but it was hilarious the way it happens. They're having this conversation, and there's this random bench in the background that literally, like a transformer, like, just, boom, Hermes is there. It's like, they're like, how long have you been there? He's like, I've been waiting 3 days for this exact moment. Like, no, you haven't. You've been waiting there 3 days because you're freaking weird and you got nothing else going on. But you know what? It's Hermes. Though, to be fair, after the end of season 3, I don't know why people still trust Hermes. I mean, we know what he's about at this point. He's very much for himself. In Hermes' defense, he was trying to help Belle to a degree, but he really did screw over the Xenos. It's really, 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 really hard to see him in the same light that we did prior to those last few episodes. So to see this, I guess that's kind of designed to reintroduce him as that same type of character he was before, but it's really like hard to see him as that. So I'm not gonna lie, that was the one thing that really did kind of take me out. I'm like, why are these people trusting Hermes? But it is Hermes, and let's be real, this entire OVA could not have happened if it weren't for the fact that, well, he's an idiot and he's involved in this. So the Unkext shows up and he starts antagonizing the Miak Familia, and in fact, there's this whole great thing about how that's like a tongue twister, which I don't think it is, but they keep calling it the Miak Familia, and it was, if you haven't watched it, A, why are you this far into the episode? B, just go watch it. It's fantastic. But it was kind of funny. But there's 4 of them, and, well, actually 5, including Belle, and he graciously offers a 10% discount on an already, as they mentioned, exorbitant price to 3 of them. It's hilarious. He's such an ass. It's great. I can't help but love Dion. I know he's supposed to be the villain, but he's hilarious and an imbecile, and it's wonderful. So they kind of give you a brief introduction here to Amid. If you've been playing the game with us, you kind of know Amid to an extent. But yeah, they then use this moment to introduce Amid proper-ish. They kind of like introduce her healing and kind of just give her a brief introduction. Like I said, we've had better introductions for this character before, but if you haven't read the light novels, have watched, I don't remember if she makes an appearance in Sword Oratoria. I haven't honestly watched the anime for Sword Oratoria, but that expands on the lore a little bit more. But in the anime, I believe this is her actual first introduction. I could be wrong, but I believe it's her first introduction actually in the anime. So they have this whole interaction, and this just basically forces Naza to go forward with her plan. And you can't help but mention the moment where like Hermes and Belle go back into the hot spring to kind of infiltrate, and they drink the water. Not that there's anything necessarily wrong with that, but, well, we'll get to that reference here in just a moment. The moment, I shared it on Twitter, the moment where Hermes and Belle, and Hermes is trying to get Belle to drink the water, little bit cringe. I'm just saying, like, that was slightly uncomfortable, but hey, you know what? It's Hermes. I guess, what do you expect? I'm not going to go any further with that. That one needs, if you've watched the end of the episode, you know why. There's just no need for that. But then there's just a little bit more plot set up. They talk about their plan and, the reasons behind it. And they have a montage about their preparing. And then they infiltrate the joint. And this is where everything just goes to absolute hell. Hilarious. Loved it so much. I'm just going to gloss over this and mention my absolute favorite parts. Obviously, the whole goal for them is to basically create a ruckus. They adorn costumes, and then Hermes is like, you know what? Here we go into the women's bath. And Belle's like, what do you mean? And he's like, well, we can only do so much damage in the men's bath. Let's go into the women's bath. Predictable, yes, but I love it because then Hermes literally just picks up Belle and off they go. And the interactions between everybody here, holy crap. And then, of course, this moment where Hermes takes them to... And they do split up. Belle goes one way. He's hiding in the forest. He's freaking out. He's like, if Eyes finds me, if Seer finds me, if Ina finds me, if all these people find me, they're going to hate me. He's like, I'm used to being hated by the city, not used to being hated by them. It's just, and you know how it's going to end. You already know it's going to go poorly for him because it never goes right. And then, of course, Hermes goes down this dead end, and he is now trapped. And, if you watched the earlier part of the episode where he comes out of the thing, yes, he's hiding in these boxes. And then you find out that's Osvi that pulled him into the boxes, and she begins to murder him. It's hilarious. Because it's Osvi. What she literally is his moral compass. Not doing a very good job of it, by the way. But, basically they allude to the fact that she beats him to a pulp. Welf confronts Hephaestus, and of course he's got the cow hat on, so she doesn't know it's him. He has his own little moral dilemma. It's hilarious. But I think the greatest moment, the absolute greatest moment, we have got to talk about Ganesha. As he runs in, and he's like, there's men in the women's bath. I will take care of it. And it's just so stupid. So dumb. I loved it. It's the peak moment of the episode. This is the moment that I literally had to stop and dry my eyes. Because it's just like, number one, I get it. Number two, he can't let somebody else be the center of attention because it's Ganesha. And then Haruhime was like, a man's collarbone, and then just passes the hell out right on top of Hestia. I was dead. I'm so dead. I loved it so freaking much. Oh my god. And then they're like, I love it too. I love it. Because obviously, he's gonna become disrobed. And then they're like, it's an elephant above and below. I'm done. I'm just... They literally call it a woolly mammoth. I am dead. I am so dead. I can... That peak comedy. Sorry, dirty old man. To me, that was the funniest thing in the world. And only because I am a filthy old man. The next scene where you have Cassandra and Daphne down the hallway of... for no other reason, clothing dissolving acid bath. Of course it's going to be. Because you can't have a Hot Springs episode where you have people fully clothed. Somehow Miyake is not affected by it, but they are. Go figure. Yes, I know he's wearing like an armor, but like that was like legit plot armor. That was not even plot. Like, I guess plot. Be like, let's not distract from the whole point of this. So stupid, but so hilarious. And can we talk about when Danmachi comes out of the mist with the frickin' lightsaber? I'm like, this is the only moment of tension of the episode, and I'm like, how are they going to stop a dude with a lightsaber? How does he have a lightsaber? What the hell is going on? And he lifts it above his head, pops the steam vent, and his Belle lands on his head. Because, of course, Belle earlier, when he was confronted by Ina, chose to literally throw himself into an abyss. I'm so dead. I'm like, this is the only way you really could have handled this. Like, Danmachi has to be a moron and has to defeat himself. Because he's got a freaking lightsaber. Like, what the hell? Absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved it. And of course, the final reveal, of course, it is the Belle Delphine episode. Let's call it right there. Amid is literally selling her bathwater. Of course, it's Danmachi's idea, but really, If this episode had been released like a few years ago, people would be losing their minds over this. She's legit. And then, of course, the meme of people. Was this literally written for that exact? But like, did they know about the meme of people drinking the bathwater and like literally make this for that purpose? Like, was that? Somebody let me know. Like, the origin of the story. Like, I legit haven't looked into it that far yet. But like, timeline wise, is it deliberate? Or is it just coincidental? Because I feel like it's very, very deliberate. But I don't remember the timeline of how all that happened. I'm an old man. I got a bad memory. But just loved it, guys. Just absolutely loved it. Let me know what you guys thought in the comments section down below. I've rambled on long enough about this. I'm going to rewatch this over and over and over again. I adored it. It's a rare situation where I watched something literally once. I was going to do a rewatch. I watched it once. Once was enough. I remember it distinctly, and that's rare for me. Like, to me, that's how good it was. A solid 10. I can't give it anything but. And the few marks that I would take away from it, I'm going to give right back. Absolutely loved it. I'm dead. I'm going to go watch it again. I'll catch you guys on the next Dan Mimo video, which we'll have this evening.